Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel Battleverse. Today we're going to take you deep into a story that shocked strategists, thrilled military analysts, and left the world wondering how close the United States Navy came to a disaster in the Pacific. This is not just a tale of warships cruising on open waters. It is a gripping story of technology meeting danger, steel meeting strategy, and an empire of the seas nearly facing a turning point in its history. What happens when the most powerful navy on Earth, armed with state-of-the-art carriers, destroyers, and submarines, finds itself dangerously close to being trapped? This is the chilling story of the Red Alert in the Pacific, when the U.S. Navy was almost cornered, and the lessons learned still echo through naval strategy today. The United States Navy has long been considered the guardian of the seas, the hammer of American foreign policy, and the visible symbol of global power projection. Its exterior presence is undeniable. A carrier strike group is one of the most intimidating sights on water, the massive bulk of an aircraft carrier stretching over 1,000 feet in length, flanked by guided missile cruisers, destroyers, submarines, and supply ships, all moving in tight formation across the ocean like a floating fortress. These aren't just vessels, they are mobile cities of war, complete with airfields, missile defense systems, radar towers, and vast crews numbering in the thousands. Each ship, from its sleek steel plating to the towering radar arrays, projects a message of power and technological supremacy. The exterior design of these warships is not simply for appearance. It is a deliberate choice. The flat tops of carriers allow for the rapid deployment of dozens of fighter aircraft, while destroyers and cruisers are lined with vertical launch systems ready to fire missiles at a moment's notice. But when the Red Alert was sounded in the Pacific, that powerful exterior faced one of its greatest challenges. The ships, while imposing, became high-value targets. Surveillance satellites, long-range missiles, and swarms of hostile aircraft turned their imposing size into vulnerability. What looked like the shield of the Pacific suddenly risked becoming a trap of steel in hostile waters. Inside, however, the story was just as intense. The interior of a U.S. Navy warship is a world few civilians ever see. Step inside the bridge of a destroyer or carrier, and you'll find a room glowing with screens, communication consoles, and radar scopes, all manned by sailors operating in coordinated silence and precision. The interior is not luxurious. Crew quarters are compact, every inch of space optimized for efficiency. Long narrow hallways connect engineering compartments, command centers, and weapons stations. The heart of the ship beats in the Combat Information Center, or CIC, where officers monitor threats, track enemy movements, and coordinate strikes. During the near-trap incident, these interiors came alive with frantic but disciplined activity. Sailors rushed to stations, radar operators scanned for incoming threats, and commanders relayed orders at lightning speed. In those moments, the simplicity of the interior proved to be its greatest strength, designed not for comfort, but for combat efficiency. Performance became the defining factor of the Red Alert in the Pacific. When enemy forces closed in and the U.S. Navy found itself at risk of encirclement, the entire fleet had to rely on its performance under pressure. Aircraft carriers scrambled fighter jets into the skies, while destroyers activated their Aegis radar systems to intercept potential missile attacks. Engines roared as ships maneuvered into new positions, seeking to outpace the encroaching threat. The fleet's ability to change course, reposition assets, and coordinate multiple ships across hundreds of miles was tested to its limits. Performance in this moment wasn't about speed alone, it was about coordination, timing, and the ability to turn technology into survival. Every system on board was pushed to full capacity. From jet engines launching F-35s into the air to submarines slipping into the depths to shield the fleet from underwater attacks, performance meant survival. Safety features, often considered background systems, suddenly became frontline defenses. U.S. Navy ships are designed with multiple layers of safety. Missile defense systems like the close-in weapon system, with its rapid-firing Gatling guns, were primed to intercept any incoming threats. Reinforced hulls and watertight compartments meant that even if a missile found its mark, the ship could remain afloat. Fire suppression systems, emergency power backups, and damage control teams were ready to leap into action. On that day of Red Alert, safety features were no longer theoretical, they were a sailor's last hope. Teams drilled for years in fire containment, hull breach repairs, and emergency evacuations put their training into practice, ensuring that even under fire, the fleet would hold together long enough to fight back. What makes the U.S. Navy's fleet unique compared to others? It is its unique selling points, and these were highlighted in the most intense way during the Pacific crisis. The first is sheer power projection. No other nation can deploy carrier strike groups across the world's oceans the way the United States can. Each carrier group is essentially an autonomous war machine, capable of launching dozens of air missions in a single day. The second is the integration of technology. The Aegis combat system allows destroyers and cruisers to act like a protective shield around carriers, intercepting missiles, aircraft, and even satellites in some cases. The third unique feature is the global logistics network. Unlike most navies, the U.S. Navy can remain operational for months, resupplied by its own fleet of logistics vessels. This global reach, combined with advanced training and cutting-edge technology, makes the U.S. Navy not just powerful, but versatile and resilient. However, this strength comes at an astronomical price. The Gerald R. Ford-class aircraft carrier, the latest in the fleet, costs over $13 billion to build. Each Arleigh Burke-class destroyer runs around $2 billion. Add in F-35 fighter jets at over $80 million apiece, nuclear submarines costing upwards of $3 billion, and the constant expense of training, maintenance, and operations, and you see a fleet worth hundreds of billions of dollars. The price is staggering, but it is the cost of global dominance. Every missile system, every radar array, every reinforced steel hull is a financial commitment as much as it is a military one. As the Red Alert scenario unfolded, the United States Navy came face-to-face with the razor-thin line between overwhelming strength and catastrophic vulnerability. Despite its price tag, despite its advanced systems, the Navy nearly found itself cut off in the Pacific, a reminder that war at sea is unpredictable, and that no amount of technology guarantees safety. In those tense hours, survival came down to strategy, training, and human decision-making. The officers and sailors on board had to react faster than the enemy, outthink their opponents, and turn their ships into more than just machines. They became living extensions of the crews who manned them. The conclusion of this near trap was both a relief and a warning. The U.S. Navy managed to escape encirclement, proving once again the resilience and adaptability of its forces. But the warning was clear: the Pacific is no longer a domain where dominance can be taken for granted. Rising powers, advanced missile systems, and surveillance technology mean that even the most powerful fleet can face danger. The Red Alert in the Pacific serves as a lesson to strategists and a reminder to the world that strength must be constantly tested, constantly improved, and never underestimated. So, what does this tell us about the future? It tells us that while the United States Navy remains unmatched in scale and power, it must constantly adapt to the new threats emerging in the Pacific and beyond. The Red Alert was not just an event, it was a glimpse into the future of naval warfare, where technology, speed, and human resilience will decide not just battles, but the balance of power on the seas. And that brings us to you, the viewers of Battleverse. What do you think? Was this narrow escape a sign that the U.S. Navy is invincible, or was it a warning that the age of uncontested American dominance on the seas is coming to an end? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because your insights help shape the conversation. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most advanced military technology and the high-stakes scenarios that define our future.